Good morning, VBHS.
Happy September 24th and happy Bancourt. You all looked lovely today.
We hope you had a good week.
We'll get episode 88 started with your VBHS news.
A couple things to keep you up to date here at VBHS.
Today is Bancourt.
Congrats to the following students on being selected into the 2021 Bancourt. Seniors Hannah Arter, Hannah Nooner, Audrey Dollum, James Moss, Andrew Oriana, and Mickey Papakota.
And juniors, Emily Brown, Hannah Lockhart, Daxton Arnold, Bryce McCune. And sophomores, Anna Nowotny, Callie Childers, Nathan Mayhart, and Troy Southern.
In case you just didn't know, you're not allowed to have food delivery services brought to the school, but you can have your parents deliver food for you. DoorDash and waiter are not allowed.
If you're interested in being a junior class officer, you'll need to see Miss Moore Robertson in S204. All petitions are due back by 3 o'clock today.
Last week, theater presented Frozen Jr.
And lastly, for a student shout-out.
We wanted to give a big congratulations to Maggie Anderson for enlisting in the U.S. Army Infantry Division last week.
We also want to give a big shout-out to Ben Cantrell for being a semi-finalist for the National Merit Scholarship.
Woo! We're proud of our students getting recognized. Do you have anyone who deserves a shout-out? DM us on our Instagram.
Now on to your VBHS sports coverage.
Volleyball won against Mount Home at home on Tuesday and then lost at home away on Thursday.
Tennis played a spectacular game against Northside on Monday and won. They also played against Russellville and Siloam Springs.
Golf played really well as they finished third in the first tee invitational, and then football had a bye week last week.
Cross country had a wonderful meet last week on Saturday at Siloam Springs. Several medaled, and the girls team placed 6th overall.
Volleyball plays this weekend at a tournament in Lakeside, Tuesday at home versus Russellville and Thursday at Greenbrier.
Cross country has a meet in Russellville tomorrow.
Show up at Blakemore tonight as football plays Siloam Springs and plays again next Friday at Russellville.
That's it for sports.
See you next week. To start us off with your news, put down your phones.
Facebook has played down its own research showing that Instagram can be harmful for teenagers' mental health, the Wall Street Journal reported.
We make body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls, Facebook internal research from 2019 declared.
Leaked documents reviewed by Wall Street Journal showed that despite knowing the harmful impacts of Instagram on teens, Facebook has taken few actions to make it less toxic and protect its most vulnerable users.
There are nearly 1 billion active monthly users on Instagram, and more than 40% of its users are 22 years old and younger.
Teenagers may suffer from eating disorders, anxiety, and depression as they mold their lives according to the Instagram aesthetic.
While we're talking about stats, more than 45% of young people surveyed across 10 countries said climate change caused anxiety and affected their daily lives.
56% said they thought humanity was doomed. You want to read this survey? It'll be listed down below.
An FDA advisory panel recommended giving a third shot of Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccines to Americans 65 and older, as well as others who may be especially at risk from disease. But the committee overwhelmingly voted against the Pfizer booster shots for the general public by a court of 162. That decision throws a wrench in the Biden administration plans to roll out boosters of U.S. adults beginning next week.
Now remember, the FDA Advisory Committee does not equal the FDA, but the FDA often follows through on the committee's recommendations.
In the run-up to yesterday's recall election in California, both Governor Gavin Newsom and his critics framed it as a judgment on his handling of the pandemic.
Newsom embraces enactment of aggressive mask and vaccine mandates.
California voters retained Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, in the recall election on September 14th.
All precincts partially reporting 63.9% to retain Newsom, while 36.1% voted to recall him. A majority vote was required to recall Newsom.
One billionaire and 3 nominees will become the first civilian crew to go into orbit, rising about 80 miles higher than the space station at the peak of the 3-day joyride.
SpaceX Inspiration 4 compared to the last few billionaires' trips due to the height in the sky.
Hazel Blue Origin flight was the first suborbital all-civilian mission, and Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic trip so suborbital that some questioned if he was actually in space.
Here's who and what's on board the SpaceX Inspiration 4.
Billionaire entrepreneur and trained pilot Jared Isaacman.
Haley Archenu, a cancer survivor and physician assistant at St. Jude, will become the youngest person ever to go to space at 29, and the first with a prosthetic body part.
Christopher Simboski, a data engineer, is going in place of his friend who won his ticket through a St. Jude fundraising campaign.
Cyan Proctor, a geology professor and former astronaut trainee. She'll become the 4th black woman and first person from Guam to go to space. What else? A lot of merch, including a ukulele, Martin guitar, and 66 pounds of hops from Samuel Adams, the official beer of Inspiration 4.
And while we're talking about space, NASA astronaut Mark Vanderhay got his stay aboard the International Space Station extended to 353 days, which would be the longest spaceflight ever recorded by an American.
And here's a quick update on other countries.
Relations between France and the U.S. have sunk to their lowest level in decades.
The U.S. and Australia went to extraordinary lengths to keep Paris in the dark as they secretly negotiated a plan to build nuclear submarines, creating a defense contract worth at least $60 billion.
President Emmanuel Macron of France was so enraged that he recalled the country's ambassadors to both nations.
But France isn't backing out of the fight. Last week, Macron said that his country's military forces had killed the leader of the Islamic State in the Greatest Sahara.
More in the world. Haiti's chief prosecutor said evidence linked Ariel Henry, the acting prime minister, to the presidential assassination in July.
North Korea tested 2 ballistic missiles, violating multiple UN resolutions.
An Israeli hit team used what is basically a robot machine gun to kill Mohsen Fakhrizadeh and pulled the trigger from more than 1,000 miles away.
And last but not least, Cuba, which developed its own COVID vaccines, will offer shots to 2-year-olds. China and the UAE are vaccinating children as young as 3 years old.
That's it for your world news. Here's Hadley with your weekend and world weather. Hey, it's Hadley Hurst. Let me tell you about your weekend weather. It has cooled down this week a little bit, but for those of you who are patiently waiting fall, don't shoot the messenger. Weekend highs are in the upper 80s and lower 90s, and it'll gradually heat up, reaching 93 by the end of Sunday. No more than 10% chance of rain this weekend, though, and the evening temperatures will be in the 60s, so take advantage of these warm, starry nights and do whatever it is that people do on weekends. On to world weather. What is previously Hurricane Ida rushed through New York without much warning this month. The extreme weather that is said to be driven by climate change has caused many within the region to take action to prevent damage from weather disasters like Ida. As Tropical Depression Nicholas in Louisiana and Tropical Storm Peter past Northeast Caribbean rip through the earth, Rose makes her entrance in the west coast of Africa, but has begun to die down as of last Sunday. Now your weather quote for the week from a song by John Mayer, you might know it. It's Sucker, and it says, "Sometimes I wish that I was the weather. You'd bring me up in conversation forever, and when it rained, I'd be the talk of the day." That's it for me, guys.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to send in student stubs at VBHS Pointer Pack News.
Don't forget to check out the description in our YouTube channel for links to the bigger stories. We'll see you guys next week for episode 89.
Hey sophomores,
Here's some tips and tricks of what not to do this school year.
it'll make it run a lot smoother.
Hey, get your feet off the seat. Thank you.
Never again. Never again.
While we're I got an email.
That wouldn't land.
That's all of it. You said that wrong.
Yeah, I did.
And it.
Stop!
For the 20.
Change. Crap. Okay.
Prosecutor. Did I say minister?
Filippo Grandi.
I dare you to say it like that. Filippo Grandi.
But Francis is.
Filippo Grandi.
And the crap. Why do I keep saying and? Okay.
I have to say a hard word. Petition, right?
Petition.
Great.
E. I can. Well, the other way.
This way?
You're good. You're good.
Right?
Keep going. Yeah, you're good.
We'll see you guys next week.
One take. Look at us. Good looks.
Yeah.